Okay, take two. So, as I said, Dad passed away 9 years ago today. So today is a rough day for Mum, but also for myself. So, for those of you that don't know, Dad did pass away of bowel cancer. But a few things that not many people do know about it is that Dad did go, when he turned 50, he went to his GP at the time, and he did get all the male tests done that you're meant to do. Whether it was his doctor that didn't ask for the right tests, or whether it was pathology that did the tests wrong. But at that time, he did have cancer. And it wasn't picked up, and it wasn't until about 10 months later, when he was going in and out of hospital for the pain that he was in, and no one could pinpoint it. So I guess the point of this is saying that even though his doctor said that, it was fine, things weren't fine. So doctors are not always right. They're not always correct. Because in your head, if you know that something is not right, then you need to do something about it until it sits okay with you that that's okay and that's fine. And if, the doctor or pathology may have made the right decision, my dad may still be here today. You don't know that, but, things might have been very different. With mine, so this is the big difference, was Dad fought it for 3.5 years, and he did become very sick. With mine, I found mine so early that it didn't go anywhere else in my body. Even when I went to my doctor, to my GP, and I showed my GP the lump that I found, my GP even said to me, and I told her that I'd trained chest the day before, my chest was sore from it, doesn't usually get that sore, and she thought that I had just pulled a ligament near my ribs, and that's what the lump was from. So, but to be sure, they did send me for the tests. Even when I got more tests, they all said, yep, I think, it all looks fine, it looks normal, don't think there's going to be anything malicious there. And you know what? Thank God that I have a good GP and that they did everything by the book. So if this would have happened with my dad, things might be different and he might still be here. He might not, but don't ever take what a doctor says to you as the be-all and end-all, because it's not always right. I guess the other thing that I also wanted to point out with myself was I did have private health cover, and I had private health cover since I was 19 and I moved out of home. And I assumed that I would have been covered for breast cancer. When it came to that, I was not covered. I was not covered for breast cancer at all. So that is why I went the public system. But at the end of the day, I didn't have any problems in the public system and it was fine. But I had to wait 3 weeks longer before I could get in to get the surgery. That was really the only difference for me. But those 3 weeks were hell, knowing that that's what was in my body and that I couldn't get it out for 3 weeks later. So it was really hard. So we've seen on the news and all the shows that are talking about your healthcare and, each policy, there's like 100 different things that are in it. And who the hell knows that stuff? No one knows. But it's worth going through. Check that you are covered for things that you might not necessarily think that might happen to you, but of all things, I never thought that would happen to me, but I also thought that I was covered. Being of what Dad passed away from, of course I thought that I would have had cover for those sorts of things. But it's so important to check. And again, the big difference between Dad and I, one, technology and medicine has improved so much in the last 9 years. And if it was different, things might be different. But the way that it happened was I picked mine up so early, and I did find it myself. And I wasn't a regular checker. I would just check sometimes and think that I was doing it right. I was doing it completely wrong, and it was big when I found it. Dad thought that he was doing the right thing, and he did go and get checked, but he didn't get checked until he was 50. and he thought that his doctor was looking after him. But whether it was, as I said, the GP or pathology, someone effed up really badly in that. And that breaks my heart, and I would never want to hear that happening to anyone else. So please check yourselves, but also don't sit with things if you don't think that you're okay. And like Dad, he knew that something was wrong like kind of 6 months after that. But being a typical male, which most males are, they don't do too much about their health, whereas women do things. So any male that sees this, make sure you go and get checked, like anything that's there. I don't care if you're a smoker and you've got a stupid little cough, just go and get it checked, because early detection is the only way that you can get through this. Otherwise, things could end up be bigger than Ben-Hur for you, and it could end up really quite bad. And I hope that that doesn't happen to anyone that I know, because it is hell to go through, and it still breaks my heart 9 years later for what happened to Dad. So I know that I harp on about the checking, but I just wish that everyone would understand as to why it was. So again, all the females, every month we're meant to check. So I'm trying to do the videos every sort of month to try and remind everyone. So please do that. But anyway, and thanks for all the love that everyone sent me today as well about Dad. I really appreciate it. But go home and check, everyone. Girls and guys, learn to check. Bye.